What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lisa TJM, and if you've been here before, thank you so much for returning. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and follow me on my social media pages that are linked down below in my description. And so yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today's video is really just going to be me giving you like a rundown and a couple of travel tips specifically for the trip that I took to Knysna at the end of April. Yeah, so it's been a while. I definitely should have put out those vlogs a long time ago, but what matters is they're up now, right? So yeah, that's basically what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So if you have not watched my two previous vlogs that I have put out, please pause, go and watch those videos, and then come back because basically what I'm going to be talking about is in relation to the vlogs that I've put out. And yeah, so yeah, let's just get right into it. We took this trip in April, like I said, end of April, from the 23rd to the 27th. So it was a good, good 4 days. 23, 24, 25, yeah. It was a good 4 days. And we did a lot of things. I mean, this trip was mainly supposed to be a golfing trip. With obviously just a couple of activities here and there. I mean, the plan was to play golf for like maybe 2 or 3 of those days, and then also do activities in between. But obviously, Knysna weather is just wild. Like, it actually rained, I think, like 3 of those days. I think the day we actually left is when the sun decided to actually come out, and I was like, wow, guys. So that kind of hindered the golfing quite a bit, but nonetheless we actually did quite a lot of activities. So yeah, I'll start with like the prepping of the trip, right? So obviously when you're prepping for a trip, you got to start with browsing and searching for flights that have a like a more reasonable price to it. So for us, really, at first, right, okay, so let me just tell you the initial plan. The initial plan was for us to travel as a group of 6 to 8 friends, but only the 4 of us were able to make it. So it was me, my boyfriend, my friend, and her boyfriend. And I mean, it worked out perfectly, actually, because I'm like, it's actually much easier to plan a trip with less people than more people, because the coordination, the organization of it all, when there's like 6 to 8 adults, is quite, it could actually just be a headache. So this actually ended up working out perfectly. And also just actually booking the flights was easier because initially we were like, okay, cool, since if it's going to be 6 or 8 of us, we're going to have a deadline where everybody sends money to one specific person who has the highest discount on either, like, if they bank with F&B, eBucks. I know they have like a reward system or a discount system if you're booking flights through them. I know Investic as well. I'll also put a link down below in my description where you can actually sign up with Investic, and you can, be part of that incentive program where you can enjoy booking your flights at a certain discount to make your whole budget really just more reasonable. And I also know Discovery has the same system. So yeah, so the plan was to send money to one person who has the highest discount that they're being offered, and they book flights for everybody so that we're all on the same flight, to just avoid the extra confusion and headache of people landing at different times. I think that is just like a commotion at the beginning of the trip before you even start the trip. So we just wanted to avoid that. But like I said, it was only the 4 of us who ended up being able to make the trip. And it was so easy to work around it, because we're just like, okay, cool, whoever books their flight first will just send a screenshot to the other ones, and then you make sure that you book the same flight. So we looked at the prices, right? And obviously, like, my boyfriend and I were the ones who were technically planning the whole trip, and we wanted our friends to come with us. So we looked at the prices, right? And flying straight from here to George was it was funny. It was comedy. Like literally the prices I was seeing, I was just like, what? Am I leaving the country? Like what is happening? It is expensive. So even if you have the money, it's actually quite pricey, okay? So like, you know what? I think the best bet here would be to fly from here to PE, and then we get our rental car from PE, and then drive all the way to George Knysna, our destination. And it ended up making so much sense because we wanted to basically have like a little road trip tour, and it was amazing because we actually did half of the activities that we wanted to do the day we actually arrived, because we went through the garden route, and that's when we went to Tsitsikamma and the elephant sanctuary. But anyway, backtracking, right? The flight situation. It was just so expensive, and we're like, you know what? It's actually cheaper to fly from here to PE, and that's what we did. We booked a flight from here to PE, 6 a.m. flights. Not ideal, but that was the cheapest one that we could find. And so we had to be at the airport at 4 a.m. And if you know, well, if you don't, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not a morning person. So that was a little bit of a, but I mean, at this point, we're just like, I think where we can save money, we should. And yeah, so we booked a flight from here to PE. And but then coming back, we just, we had a direct flight from George all the way back to Joburg, because when it's time to go home, guys, it's time to go home. I know a lot of people are quite impatient or wouldn't really opt for a road trip when it's time to go back home because you're tired from the trip. You just want to literally hop on your flight and get home. And that's basically how we planned our flights. And yeah, so altogether, between my boyfriend and I, return, oh, why am I saying between? For my boyfriend and I, return, we paid about 6,500 rand. That was the total for our flights, and this is literally here to PE, George, back home, for both of us. Quite pricey, like I said. I mean, it is expensive to fly to Western Cape anyway. So this, we knew that we're going to actually have to pay a certain, prices were going to hike. And also the other thing is, like I said, we knew that we were going to go on this trip literally like in February, and we're just waiting on everybody else to kind of like, make up their minds and decide if they were going to be able to make it. But obviously, towards the trip, that's when people had, they had other obligations and couldn't make the trip. And that sucked a little bit because, I mean, we knew we were going to go on this trip in February. And if we had booked our flights then, we're actually just going to, it wasn't going to be as expensive as it was when we did book our flights. I think we booked our flights, I think it was like 2.5 weeks before we had to leave. So obviously the price hike was just like scary, okay? So pro tip, if you know when you're going to travel, please just book your flights well in advance. We all know about the price hikes, okay? And make sure you book your return as well. I mean, same time, because you know when you're going to be coming back home. It's a holiday. So, so yeah, there's that. Okay, cool. So now the flight's sorted. Then, now obviously prepping to actually leave, right? Obviously, like I said, our flight was at 6 a.m. So we had to leave the house at 4 a.m. in the morning. And yeah, so basically that means we had to pack the night before, which obviously, like, I would advise, whether you're traveling out of the city or out of the country, just pack your shit the night before. I think it just really eases a lot of anxiety, especially if you have travel anxiety. Just make sure everything is sorted the night before. And there's this cute little thing that I found in Take-A-Lot, and I think it'll come so in handy for all trips moving forward. And I feel like everybody needs to have this. I'm just gonna put this right here on the screen. It's like it's a portable scale, so you can literally just hook it on your bag, and you can see how much your luggage weighs, so that you just avoid the inconvenience of the airport situation where your luggage is just overweight, and now you have to factor that into your budget, that you have to pay for the overweight luggage. And it's just like a lot, really, because you can actually miss your flight because of that. I have twice in my life, and I was like, never again. I'm not doing this to myself. Because now you have to figure out, are you taking things out? Are you willing to pay the extra? It's a lot. So just rather just make sure that you're sorted before you leave the house. Okay, cool. So now time to leave. So I'd say if you live like around the Sandton area, I live in Bryanston. So from here to the airport, we paid about 330 Rand for Uber. And because obviously we're leaving very early in the morning, it only made sense to take an Uber to the airport. But I'd say if you are maybe traveling like in the afternoon or in the evening, you could take the How train. I'm not sure if it is operational right now because of like lockdown, etc. I don't know. But I'm just saying like you could opt for that. It is a cheaper option to go to a How train station wherever like where it's closest to you, and you go to the airport from there. But yeah, we took an Uber. Like I said, it was really early in the morning, so that was like the safest and most convenient. And also just trying to avoid, the huffing and puffing at the airport when you get there late. Okay, so yeah. After that, we then yeah. So after that, after we got on our flights, we now landed in PE. This is where we had to get our rental car, and we got like a, what was it? It's a Toyota, yeah, just like a regular car really, and a sedan. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, the deposit for that was 3,200 Rand to rent that car for the days that we're there for. It's definitely, you can't run away from having to rent a car, especially if you're flying there, unless maybe you have friends that already live there. You have to, because you're going to be moving up and down. I mean, we drove a lot, okay, during that whole, like those 4 days we drove so much because everything is kind of like far apart, and you just have to really. So that was 3.2 for that, and the car comes it comes with a full tank. So we rented our car through Avis. Okay, that's the company. It comes with a full tank, which is great. So you basically just get in and you go, and that lasted us about oh damn! It lasted a day. Because no, well, not just a day though, because I mean, we had a couple stops, like I said, right? So, it was a 3 hour drive from PE all the way to Knysna, where our accommodation was. So the fact that we stopped by the Ziplining National Park, and we went to the elephant sanctuary, and then after that we then we went home. It was a lot of driving up and down. So just also consider that and factor that into your budget, that this is what's going to happen if you're going to take the exact same route that we did. So yeah, full tank, perfect. And then our first stop was at the Ziplining National Park. This is where we did our hike, and it was about 350 Rand for the four of us. And I think that's quite reasonable, because you can basically, there's quite a number of things you can do in the national park. It's the hike, there's also the beach, and there's also a restaurant and a little bar area situation. So you could actually just go there for the whole entire day, and it's so much fun. So it's like about 80 Rand, give or take, per person, and we just paid 350 for the four of us. And yeah, that was quite reasonable. And then after our hike, we then went for lunch, still in the national park. They have a really cute little restaurant that's like overlooking the water. It's so pretty. And this is where I was like, oh my god, like it's so cheap here. Like it's so affordable. Let me not say cheap, it's very affordable. Like eating at a restaurant, you can actually afford to eat at a restaurant the whole entire time you're on holiday there, because it's actually so much more affordable than it is here in Joburg. I mean, like here in Joburg, please, like the moment you leave your house, you've already spent 1,000 rand automatically. So it was just really baffling. We spent about 1,000 rand for the four of us, guys. I mean, we ordered steaks. All four of us had steak and drinks on top of that. I was just like, what? And the wine obviously is so cheap. I was in heaven basically. I'm like, do I really have to come back here? So yeah, that was fantastic because, like I said, you actually can afford to eat out every day. Like, you can actually budget maybe between, I think, like 500 rand between two people. Yeah, for every meal, you can actually make that happen. You can actually really make that happen for the whole time you are on this trip in Knysna. And then after that, we went to the elephant sanctuary, and this was quite pricey. So now the thing is, right, when you look on the website, just factor in that, you know, there's, you might end up just spending a little extra because some prices may not be updated, etc, right? So just always factor that into your budgeting as well. We, on the website, I think it was like 480 rand per person. But then when we got there, it was we ended up spending about 1,300 for the two of us. And obviously, you know, for the experience, it was worth it. It was worth every cent. I mean, I would not take it back because for this, we were able to walk with the elephants, and we also got like a little elephant tutorial, which was amazing. And we also got to feed the elephants, which was amazing as well. So I wouldn't take anything from it. I think it was absolutely worth how much we spent. So yeah, I would say like budget, you know, between 1,300 and 1,005 for two people. Like, I'm like, for everything, I'm really just going to just round it up to say two people, four people, because that's basically how we're paying for everything. And yeah, so that was 1.3, amazing experience, and I was happy about that. And then after that, we it was time to go home now, and we just did a little grocery shop. We didn't really buy a lot of groceries because we knew that we're not going to spend a lot of time at the house, so we didn't have to buy, like, you know, a lot of things to cook because we're just like, I mean, even after the whole entire trip, we still had food that was still in the fridge. That's how much we actually didn't cook. I think we only cooked like one day where we made it was a braai, okay. And oh yeah, and breakfast, that was the same day. I think we had breakfast and the braai on the same day. So we basically were just looking for, you know, breakfast stuff like fruit salad and meat for the braai, and obviously like a whole lot of wine. And that was it. That was really what was in the budget. Really, I mean, you know, if you go into Woolies, you're going to spend about 2.5. That's how much we spent around there. 2.5, 2.7 for all the stuff that we bought, and water, of course. And that was that for the groceries. Like I said, we had no plans of shaving it up the whole time because we knew we are not going to be in the house for a long period of time. But we just needed something, you know, and of course snacks. We just needed something in case, you know, somebody was hungry here or there. So that was the budget for groceries. And then this was now the next day, the following day. This is when we went for the wine tasting, and this is when we had to fill up the tank again because that drive, damn, like that was such a long drive. We literally drove in the mountains, like it was wild, and we obviously got lost because it was just like up and down, like the instructions, the directions were just wild, like nothing made sense. So we actually got lost. And where this wine farm was, it was literally deep in the dungeons. Like, it was far out. So this is the day that we had to fill up the tank again. And I don't know, I can't actually remember. But then again, you know, there's like prices will differ depending on the rate on the day. So just factor that in, consider that. So yeah, the wine tasting was 350 rand per person, which was great for what we got. I mean, we got the 350 included a wine tour. It also included it included a platter, a cheese board with like cold meats and fruits and bread, and tasting of 6 different wines, which I thought was amazing. But obviously, because like I said, we got lost, so we missed the scheduling of the wine tour, and we ended up just having the wine tasting picnic, which was still fantastic because it was a lot of, you know, the food that was there. It was quite a lot, and the bread and the wines. So after 6 wines, you can actually pick, like each person can pick their own 6, so it's not just like, you know, a set 6 wines that you can only have for the day. I think there was like maybe 12 or so that you can pick from. You only pick 6, so we actually managed to taste all 12 wines because we're like, oh, what did you pick? Okay, so I'll pick something else. So we all taste different wines all together, and that was just a really, really nice experience. I'll say that would also be great as a group. Like I said, you also get to taste all the wines if you go, and it's just like 3 or 4 or 5 of you guys, because you can all select different wines and just have like a full-on experience. So I absolutely enjoyed that. It was so much value for money for what we got, and there was no time cap really. Like we just chilled for as long as we wanted to until it was time to leave. And yeah, on that very day, and that same day, so I'm looking at my phone because I actually did put down some notes so I can remember the prices attached to everything. On that same day, we went for a boat cruise. It was an evening cruise, and this was amazing. This was really, really nice. The pack, I think, how much was it? It was 250 rand per person for a 2-hour cruise, 2 bottles of wine, and a food platter. I was like, I need to move here, guys. I can't find myself in Joburg again. It was just like, I was like, what? Really? Such a beautiful experience. So yeah, 250 for the cruise, and 2 bottles of wine. Well, obviously, because, you know, we were 2 couples, that makes it 2 bottles of wine. But I guess like if it's just one couple, let me say, for that 250 rand, let me put it this way: for that 250 rand that you pay, you get a bottle of wine, a food platter, and 2-hour boat cruise. Perfect. Loved it. That was the budget that was set for that. And then after that, we went for dinner. Like I said before, shocking. We went to the dry dock, and we paid 1.5 for 4 people. Now, when I tell you, okay, we ordered, hey, we had a bottle of red wine, we had 4 shots, we had sushi, and I ordered fish, and the guys ordered a steak each, and my friend ordered like it seemed like a platter because there's so much shrimp, or is it prawns, I'm not sure, and oysters for 1.5, guys. I was just like, what the hell? Like, you could actually really have a good time eating out the whole time you are on this trip. So yeah, that was actually really refreshing, considering, you know, like I said, living here in Joburg, it's just so expensive to eat out. So this was great. And then the following day, that's when that was the last day of our activities, I think. That's when we went ziplining. So for the ziplining experience, we paid 1,800 for the 2 of us. And like I said, all these experiences, even if it was pricey, I literally wouldn't take anything from it because we genuinely had such a beautiful time. So we managed to, or were able to zip line across 5 lines, or 5 ropes, I don't know how you term it, but yeah, that was what we paid for. And the people there are just so nice. It really just like adds to the whole entire experience that you don't actually think too much about how much you've spent on it. So that was that for the zip lining. It definitely was a bit more than we had anticipated, or than we had budgeted. Like I said, on the website, you know, you'll get the price, but then when you actually get there, it's like, okay, I mean, all right, I mean, I'll pay, but so just factor that in, like I said, and that's why I'm here to give you these tips and also help you budget if you are ever considering traveling to Knysna and doing all the activities that I have mentioned. And if you watch my vlogs, you know exactly how that went. So yeah, that was that. And then after ziplining, that's when we went to play golf. So we literally only played golf on one of the days. But like I said, the weather was just a little iffy, so it was super cold, it was rainy. Yeah, even on this day that we played golf, it was cold. Okay, so for golf it was 800 rand per person, and this came with the clubs, of course, and yeah, basically just access to the course itself. And you play, so you have an option to play 9 or 18 holes. We played 9 holes because we got there a little bit late, and like I said, it was cold, so 18 holes is just a whole lot. It was too much for that day, so we just, you know, we paid for 9 holes. And then oh yeah, another thing is you have to buy golf balls, but there's vendors on the street, so you can actually just buy a bag of golf balls. They I think they were like 100 rand for a bag of 20. So, and I think each person would have to get their own bag of 20, because you are going to lose those balls. Some of them you can fetch right after you hit your ball, you can fetch them, but then some just disappear, and it is what it is. So pro tip again. But yeah, that is that's basically the rundown of our budget that we had. You can just add up the numbers, and you know, give or take, that's pretty much how much we spent for the time that we're there for. You can include extra things that you might want to do. Sucked that we couldn't get to go to the beach because it was cold, and I was like, I am not, one thing I'm not going to do is expose myself to the cold, guys. So we basically did what we could, and we still had a good time. And our Airbnb, so we stayed at my boyfriend's family home. That's why I haven't included accommodation in all of this, because we didn't have to pay accommodation. But I will link the Airbnb down below in my description, so you can go and look on Airbnb for the price of the home per night, and you can budget accordingly according to the price that is set on the website. So yeah, that's basically it for this trip. I think in the future as well, you know, for every trip that I go on, everything that I vlog, I will definitely come after come on here after the trip, and also just do the same exact thing that I've done now, because I think it would be really helpful for, you know, people who are planning to travel. I know personally I would have enjoyed or loved somebody who traveled to Knysna before to, you know, tell me the ins and the outs, how much I should expect to pay for this and that. So yeah, hopefully this has been really helpful, and hopefully this will yeah, like I said, hopefully this has been really helpful, and hopefully this will help anyone willing to travel, or anyone hoping to travel to Knysna in the future. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and please, like I said, don't forget to subscribe, tell your homies, and comment down below. If you have any questions, comment down below, and I will be sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye.